key feature of narcissistic personality disorder is their lack of integration with the self, because there is no self. There is an empty void, and then there is a false self covering up that empty void to keep the ambient noise down of those persecutory interjects. And whenever we understand that for the narcissist to um, even perceive any slight rejection, abandonment, um, insult, sort of any sort of challenge to their grandeur, um, that inability to integrate any emotions, unless they are congruent with their grandiose self, is an inability to repress emotions. A narcissist cannot repress their emotions. There is this immediate impulse to either accept it if it's congruent with their grandiose self concept, or immediately split it off and reject it. And that splitting off and rejecting will be passed out, it'll be projectively identified out into their partner, or their work colleague, or their mother, or their father, or their sister, or their brother, or their boss, whoever it may be. And it's whenever we understand this and we see this immediate impulse to split that off, to not identify with it immediately, it's this it's this that really gives the sort of key to the pattern of what we need to look at. There is a distinct inability to repress emotions. Whereas the victims of narcissistic abuse, us who have access to both positive and negative emotions, means that our access to positive emotions means that we can repress negative emotions and hold them internally, and then over time hopefully integrate them. But because of who we're dealing with, and because they're imposing their psyche upon all of us, that inability to integrate those emotions in a sense that's fair and balanced means that we reject ourselves. We reject ourselves, and the repression of all the internalizations and emotions and suppression of all our sort of anger and disdain towards them, which is now manifesting as being us, in which we're heavily chastising ourselves. And we go through these cycles of doing this for years. And I don't think people who have never experienced narcissistic abuse don't understand the concept of just how much it takes over your mind. It's not a thing that happens once every couple of hours. It's pervasive. It's 24/7. It's complete and utter takeover of your brain. And it's this that people need to get their heads around, because I know for myself, I can't socialize anymore. I mean, I can't go out with my friends anymore because I went out with them like I think 3 or 4 times, and I was highly reactive because I was getting gaslit, I was getting shut down, I was getting um, teased and insulted because of my mental health. And it wasn't because, well, it was maybe for some of them, they just couldn't accept it because maybe some of their behaviours and traits were being talked about. And for others, my very close friends, there's an inability to understand mental health. There's the stigmatization of mental health as being somehow a weakness in a person, when in fact, mental health is just a reaction to an abnormal situation. It's a perfectly normal reaction to a heavily adversely abnormal scenario that's happened in your life that's caused this trauma. And trauma is the reaction to abuse. And your trauma, the size of it, is in proportion to who you are, not somebody else. It's okay to understand. Our trauma is not us. It's what's happened to us and the result of what's happened to us. But it's not us. We're still there underneath. We seem so far away from ourselves for so long, and there will be a rewriting of what happened. And that will add a layer to us as a person. A layer of trauma, but also a layer of wisdom and a layer of learnings. And it'll also teach us how to nurture ourselves, maybe where we haven't been nurtured, essentially, properly in the past. Peace out. Love to love. Look after yourselves.